We are dealing with an issue that I would not wish on any one individual in this world to have to choose on.
Turning now to an issue that has been top of mind of so many of you, abortion, right here in Arizona. ABC 15 is following up and breaking down several big updates for you tonight, including the Arizona State House voted to repeal the state's total abortion ban statute. This comes 15 days after the state Supreme Court decided to ban nearly all abortions here in our state. It comes on the same day California proposed laws to allow Arizona doctors to go to their state to provide abortions. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court heard arguments in the Biden administration's challenge to Idaho's abortion ban, which has similar language as Arizona's ban. It's an issue we know impacts so many of you out there, and that's why we have team coverage breaking down what this all means for you and asking questions about what happens next. ABC 15's Katie Rammel just spoke with Governor Katie Hobbs moments ago. We're going to sit down with the governor asking the questions you want answered and the governor's response to the House repealing that law. Lillian Donahue is outside the Capitol this evening, hearing from those for and against today's motion. But first, we begin with what exactly happened inside the state Capitol moments before the House voted to repeal that near total abortion ban here in Arizona. ABC 15 political reporter Rachel Louise Just has been following this from the very beginning. And Rachel, what takeaways do you have from inside the Capitol that were different from last week's motions?
Yeah, Javier, from what I was able to tell, it was the extremity of that territorial abortion ban that pushed that handful of Republicans to end up voting with Democrats today, ultimately allowing this repeal of that 1864 ban to overturn this. And to remind you, it was no exceptions for rape or for incest in that ban that they had those issues with. And already the results of this and the backlash of that decision has been immediate. It's the third time Arizona House Democrats have tried to force a vote on a repeal since the state Supreme Court decided to uphold the near-total abortion ban. But this is the first time the repeal bill actually came to a vote.
We're going to vote on this. It's a waste of time.
After many attempts to block it by Republicans. Now, anger for some Republicans.
I'm disgusted and disappointed. The issue of life and protecting the dignity of every human person has been foundational to the Republican Party.
The emotion of the last 2 weeks is just catching up with me.
And relief for Democrats.
We know that the people of Arizona, a greater percentage of the people of Arizona, want this law to go into effect, to repeal.
Without the 1864 ban in place, Arizona will resort to its current abortion law, banning the procedure after 15 weeks, only with exception for the life of the mother. 3 Republicans moving over to side with Democrats, Matt Gress, Justin Wilmeth, and Tim Dunn. Other Republicans immediately lashing out at Democrats after the vote.
Look, I don't know what just happened here, but nobody likes a sore winner. This is just out of line, what they're doing at this point.
I, as leader of our Democrats, have stood with the Speaker and the Republicans. And now they want to call war on us? No. We're supposed to be doing the people's work, and that's what's been done for the last 2 weeks, and that's what we finalized today.
Republicans who voted for a repeal rebuked by their own after the vote.
Almost all Republicans stuck together on the issue, and I would argue all the real Republicans did stick together on the issue.
And in some cases, facing real punishment. Just minutes after the vote, Gress and a top Democrat were removed from the Appropriations Committee by TOMA.
For them to now point us out and then to pull one of my members off of the only 2 committees that we have left is bullshit.
But when asked about that decision.
Because I've decided it. What else?
Is this a punishment?
What else?
Is that a punishment?
I'm not answering that question. What else?
He walked away without answering many questions from the media.
And I'm done. So I'm done for now. I'm not guaranteeing nothing.
The 3 Republicans who voted with Democrats not sticking around today to explain their votes. But Dunn posted that his decision was, quote, the most pro-life vote I can possibly make, unquote, in light of the 1864 ban's restrictions on rape and incest exceptions. Republicans say they're still considering what they want to do when it comes to ballot referrals or abortion policies that would go directly to voters in November.
We have under consideration various proposals of common sense regulation of abortion.
Now the bill now heads to the Senate for a vote. The soonest we would see that vote would be next Wednesday. That's the next time they are back in session. One thing I do want to note here, though, is even if that bill is signed next week, which would be the soonest that it would happen at all from Governor Katie Hobbs, it's still very likely that we would see the 1864 ban go into effect, because it's set to go into effect in June. Right now, the current existing ban that is being passed, that does not have an emergency clause in it, which means that it would go into effect 90 days after the legislature adjourns. That's set to happen in June or July, and with the date of that ban going into effect in early June, it's likely that for at least a couple of months we would still have a near total abortion ban in Arizona. Live in Phoenix, Rachel Louise Just, ABC 15 Arizona.
The Arizona State House voting to repeal a Civil War era abortion law have led to split reaction. We were there as crowds showed up at the state capitol, and that's where we find ABC 15's Lillian Donahue, who's hearing from folks who were out there. Lillian.
Well, I asked what makes people passionate enough to show up in person to the state capitol to make their voices heard about this divisive topic. Almost everybody I spoke with had a personal story or a moral conviction for supporting or opposing abortion laws in Arizona. One abortion rights advocate told me about her struggles in pregnancy led to a botched out-of-state abortion last year. She not only wants the 1864 law repealed, but she also wants Arizona abortion services expanded. On the flip side, anti-abortion advocates tell me they feel the 1864 law adequately allows for abortions in cases where the life of the mother is at stake.
I wanted to make sure that people are aware of the process that is happening, and that they have access to safe and legal abortions in Arizona.
Today's a very sad day as our state seems set on a path to not protect unborn children or their mothers from the tragedy of abortion.
Well, one thing is clear, everyone is looking to see what shakes up in the state Senate next week. You can count on ABC 15 to keep you informed, and we will bring you that vote as soon as it happens. Reporting from the state capitol, Lillian Donahue, ABC 15, Arizona.
Thank you. I want to bring in our Katie Rammel. And Katie, you've been following the abortion ruling, the fallout and everything since the beginning, and the overturning of Roe v. Wade. In fact, you were out there outside the state capitol when there were protests. You've been covering this. You just moments ago had the conversation with our governor, Katie Hobbs. What was that conversation
Yeah, I
like?
just spoke with the governor on Zoom. She had just a few minutes, but she said that she was relieved in what happened this afternoon and that she's hopeful it'll pass the Senate smoothly on May 1st. Rachel just talked about that date. And to be clear, she tells me she will absolutely sign this when and if it hits her desk. Now, remember, a signature means it goes into effect 90 days from the end of the legislative session. So that would create a bit of a gap, because that is beyond that June 8th date of the ban taking hold. And she tells me that she hopes the courts would recognize that this would cause even more confusion, and that the intent here would be to have this in place so that they would just leave the stay in place rather than to go to the ban, then back to the repeal, that they would just leave the stay in place for the entire summer. So we will continue tracking that. We're putting together more of her interview. Just got done with that moments ago. We'll have that for you tonight at 6. But the aim of all of this is to relieve any confusion and chaos that's out there right now.
And there certainly is a lot of confusion. The umbrella to all this is State Attorney General Chris Mays has said she will not prosecute that law.
Yeah, that's the big thing in all of this. So we'll continue tracking it. We'll get more of her interview, and we'll have that for you at 6.